stones cut so cleanly with only crude tools? How were they transported across the mountains without horses or wheeled vehicles? And how were they fit together with such precision? Is it possible these ancient builders were taught engineering secrets by visitors from another world?
The answers to these questions were forever lost when the Inca Empire crumbled. The mystery of Sacsayhuaman still haunts these stones, hiding secrets we may never unravel. Half a world away in France, more giant stones stand in silence, yet they may be thousands of years older than the astounding creations of the Incas. Centuries ago, these megaliths were erected. The word megalith comes from the Greek, mega meaning large, and lithos meaning stone. Some of these megaliths weigh up to 300 tons. Experts are unsure who the ancient builders were who put these behemoths in place, how they were arranged, and when. Without any man-made substances attached, stones cannot be scientifically dated. Just off the coast of Brittany in northern France is a ring of stones that only deepens the mystery.
There is a great deal of controversy about the age of these megaliths in Brittany. Here, we finally have some proof. These stones go into the water and underwater. In fact, there is an entire stone circle underwater. This proves that the stones were here before the water was here. And that was 8,000 to 10,000 years ago.
According to Von Daniken, these stones were placed before the end of the Ice Age. When the ice melted, the water level rose, covering the area and making placement of the stones impossible. 8,000 to 10,000 years ago, people were hunter-gatherers with no knowledge of engineering and only crude tools. How could these primitive people have placed these stones before the sea rose to cover them?
I believe that this planet was visited a long time ago by extraterrestrials. Of course, the extraterrestrials did not create these wonders. Our ancestors did that. But these structures were intended as a form of worship to the gods, the teachers who came down from heaven. The people were inspired and erected these creations to honor these visitors.
One of the most controversial technologies of the 20th century is genetic engineering. The ability to manipulate life at its most elemental level offers great promise and great danger. Erich Von Daniken believes there are clues in ancient Egypt, only now rediscovered, which point to an astonishing mystery. Is it possible the secrets of genetic engineering were discovered thousands of years ago?
Genetic engineering involves moving individual genes between organisms.
Molecular biologist Dr. Judith Lingell is experimenting with genetic engineering at the University of Southern California in Los Angeles.
The purpose of genetic engineering is to take the properties conferred by a single gene and incorporate those properties then into another organism.
Dolly the sheep was created through genetic engineering for commercial breeding purposes. But tampering with the building blocks of life can be frightening.
Like the splitting of the atom, this is a discovery that carries burdens as well as benefits.
Genetic engineering terrifies many people. In the future, genetic engineering could change the characteristics of a human being with beneficial results or with dangerous consequences we cannot even imagine. Erich Von Daniken believes we have already witnessed the devastating impact of genetic engineering out of control.
Luxor, one of the greatest of all ancient Egyptian cities. I believe we find clues here that genetic engineering may have been attempted thousands of years ago.
All over Egypt, you find creatures like these. What is the meaning of it?
Statues showing the combination of human and animal forms are common in the ruins of ancient Egypt. Legends say
it was 11,340 years ago that the gods descended from heaven. These gods created beasts, monsters, mixed creatures of all kinds. There were bulls with the head of human. There were dogs who had wings and the tails of a fish. They were created by the gods, and the gods were the teacher from heaven, and the teacher from heaven were nothing else than the extraterrestrial. All what is left is the question, why should some extraterrestrial civilization do such a thing? We know from our little space knowledge that there are planets which are maybe hotter than the Earth or cooler than the Earth. So maybe you need a creature which is intelligent, as we are, but has a different body to resist heat or to resist the cool or whatever. So they used our existing genetic material. They mixed it in a new form. They made what we would call today genetic engineering. And voila, we had some of these monsters.
Beneath the shifting sands of the ancient city of Saqqara, Von Daniken has found what he claims are new clues that the ancient Egyptians lived in fear of one of the genetically engineered creatures. Ancient Egypt was a culture of herdsmen. Cattle represented wealth and were a staple of their diet. Bulls were especially revered and represented strength and dignity. The holy Apis bull was the most sacred of all these animals. However, according to Von Daniken, some accounts indicate that the Apis bull was feared rather than revered. In ancient hieroglyphs, the Egyptian scribes tell stories of a less than benevolent god, as represented by the dreaded and wrathful Apis bull.
For example, the holy bull Apis destroyed temple, killed people, so he was really a monster.
Finally, these monsters died. Now, the priests wanted to avoid that some of these monsters could be reborn. That's why they made subterranean caves.
This is the entrance to a huge underground tomb, referred to as the Serapeum. Scholars believe it was designed as the final resting place for the holy Apis bull.
This subterranean cave was discovered in 1852 by the French archaeologist Auguste Mariette. As you can see, I myself, I am 5 feet and 5 inches high, but this sarcophagus is higher than myself. And by the way, the lower part is 80 tons, and the cover another 30 to 35 tons. The archaeologists expected to find mummified bulls. But when the cover was taken away, inside was a mass of asphalt with thousands of teeny broken bones. What a mystery. It was normal in ancient Egypt to mummify everybody so that he could be resurrected, that he had a new life, an afterlife. But to have an afterlife, the whole body was needed. Why not in this case? Maybe they wanted to prevent, to be resurrected, this monster inside.
No bones were ever discovered in the Serapeum that have been identified as the bones of a bull. Scholars are undecided on the exact nature of the remains that were found there. Whatever it was, was not mummified in the way Egyptians preserved creatures so that they could live again. Perhaps the Apis bull was a gift from the gods that the ancient Egyptians wanted to be forgotten.
I'm standing in the plain of Nazca. It looks like an empty desert, like nothing, but it's not. The real mysteries of the plain of Nazca can be seen only from above.
These enormous etchings in the desert floor are believed to have been made between 200 BC and 800 AD. Some of these strange lines are more than 15 miles long. Now, a new mystery has come to light.
I have just discovered something new and incredible about Nazca.
This strange figure has confused experts for a long time. It's not like any of the other figures on the desert floor. What purpose might be served by such an elaborate pattern?
Although there is no agreement, some experts believe that the lines and figures were used in religious ceremonies or were part of a giant astronomical calendar.
My interpretation relates back to the idea of a cargo cult. I believe the ancient Nazcans saw some kind of a spaceship land. The vehicle left a mark on the desert floor. When the extraterrestrials returned into the sky, the Nazcans wanted them to come back. So they recreated the strange markings to lure the visitors back to Earth. The complicated geometry contained in this massive engraving reminds me of some kind of navigational beacon which would guide the extraterrestrials back to Earth. So far, it hasn't worked. Maybe someday it will, and the visitors from another world will land once again on the timeless plain of Nazca.
The lines and figures of Nazca have drawn researchers for decades. Though no single explanation has evolved, the mystery remains a tantalizing challenge, open to all.